Hi, it's Dana, and welcome back to Dana Delivers, where we go beyond the plate to meet the people building flavor, business, and legacy in hospitality. If you're running a restaurant right now, it probably feels like every cost keeps going up and there's not much relief in sight. But in at least one area of the business, that may finally be starting to change. Today, I'm joined by Matt Mallory, the CEO of the Mallory Agency, a fourth-generation insurance firm that works with restaurant operators across the country. In this episode, we talk about what's really happening in the insurance market, from what a hard market actually means to why things are starting to soften, and how operators who run strong, disciplined businesses can start seeing real savings. We also get into the simple, everyday safety habits that can directly impact your costs. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
Dana, thanks for having me.
So I like to start the podcast always with the first time I met somebody, but it seems as though the more I do these, I'm starting to forget how I meet people. But I do know, which I just learned, that you are a fourth generation insurance agency. But I first got a chance to meet you about 4.5 years ago when I joined Aprio because of the long-standing partnership you had with some of my partners in the Atlanta office. So I'm so thankful for them for the introduction to you and the relationship we've had since then. So here we go. I don't remember the first time, but I do remember why we are now friends.
Good friends.
Yes. So, Matt, insurance, right? The things we first think about is slip and fall or workers' comp or things like that in the restaurant space. But we know that there's so much more going on in the insurance world. Why don't you take a minute, introduce yourself, what you guys do that's a little different, and then let's talk about some of the things that are happening in the space and what our listeners should be looking for and looking into the future about.
Perfect. Thank you again for having me. Mallory Agency, founded in 1907. Fourth generation in the family ownership here. 4 offices in the Southeast, clients all over the country, internationally, and in the Caribbean. I lead the restaurant and the real estate practice groups and also involved with other client vertical groups we have. So we are one of the oldest and largest privately held property and casualty insurance brokerages. We work in 2 different ways. We have our commercial side, our corporate side, and we have our private client side. Mallory Agency does not do any employee benefits or broker out healthcare. We try to stick to what we know right now within property and casualty. That may change in the future. Within the world of the restaurant industry, which has been such a near and dear, and of course, Dana, that's how you and I have connected, and I've been able to enjoy working with you so much. We're seeing the market softening right now within the restaurant world. I think that's one of the biggest talking points. Restaurants have always been and will always be a casualty-driven risk. A lot of the ones that, you and I kind of shared earlier was the slips and falls, a lot of the common ones that people think about and talk about, which are all casualty related. You have to have general liability if you're having a guest that falls. If you have an employee that falls, you have to have workers' compensation. If you have a cyber breach because of some kind of online attack, you're going to have cyber liability. So they've always been casualty driven. What's interesting right now is we're coming off of a hard market.
Why don't you explain to our listeners what is a hard market? And now, as you mentioned, that it's softening a little bit so that when people are listening, in case they aren't as familiar with.
So in a hard market, which we've been on for several years, and clients have felt that premium inflations, renewals that have had increases. A client told me a few years ago that he knew that he had some locations in the Gulf, and there were storms that came through. His locations were not hit, but he said something and he articulated it so well that he knew even if he didn't get hit by the storm, he was going to get hit in his renewal just because of the cost and the increases in cost. And then we have to have empathy for that. So in years past, we've been dealing with a hard market, which means more restricted terms and conditions for coverage forms, and pricing goes up. This can be from storms, from geopolitical, it can be from political campaigns and elections. We can make a list of reasons that we're affected by this. Now that is the pendulum is swinging and we're seeing the market descend and soften. It's not completely soft yet, but I'll give you some numbers for context. We recently just finished and completed a renewal, larger renewal. We were seeing their property total cost was cut by 50%. That's significant. That's a material difference.
What happened? Like, what was the change, or just the market conditions?
The market is changing. The market, and this particular client had locations that were both inland and coastal. And so
Okay.
we're not used to seeing coastal locations with any kind of pricing relief on property. And we are seeing it. And then on the casualty side, we saw a more stabilized pricing where we saw cost savings. It wasn't as substantial and material as on their property side, but we're seeing that. So two things clients should note here is even though the restaurant world is casualty driven, and then unless you own your real estate, you may not have that cost of real estate and those hard assets, but you should still see pricing coming down in your renewals if you are a good operator, if you're a good performer. This should incentivize you. It doesn't mean this is going to happen for everyone. So if you're a restaurant and you're well managed and operating, low losses or no losses, you're leaning into risk management, you're leaning into employee safety, you should start benefiting in the market.
Leaning into employee safety. So what are some things people should be doing, or the questions that you're asking, are you doing so that people could be proactive in these situations?
Most every restaurant is going to have their HR employee handbook or something similar. It may be labeled different, but you also need to have some kind of safety practices of how your kitchen back of the house is working. Are you wearing, this is going to seem so basic. Are you wearing non-slip shoes? Are you making sure that your back of the house team is educated in burn safety and burn mitigation? Are you making sure that your cutting styles and cutting practices are best practices and you're monitoring simple behaviors?
Right. So it's
And
really just, I was going to say, it's really just as easy as, I hate saying it, but
simple.
doing the right thing.
You know what's interesting? In the bar area, people come up to the bar and they want a cocktail, and maybe that cocktail has fruit. But the safety thing is either best practices using a knife or wearing gloves. But sometimes the customer or the patron doesn't want to see the bartender wearing plastic gloves cutting up fruit for a margarita. Um, so it's just simple things. Being very aware. We talk about situational awareness and the fast-paced movement of your team going in and out of the kitchen, serving tables, or going in and out for whatever reason. Just being aware so you don't collide with people. It sounds overly simplified, but it does keep everyone safe.
Right. No, I think it's important. I am currently studying for my insurance license just because I'm getting bored and I want to get smarter and be able to have better conversations. And everything I'm learning, it's like, but isn't that just common sense? Right? It's so easy. We just sometimes forget to do the easy stuff. What else are you seeing? Is there anything more global? I know war doesn't necessarily impact the types of clients we are working with directly when it comes to insurance and costs, but are there any other more global impacts or things people should be looking at or looking into?
Right now, I don't see any big, glaring, or sexy emerging risk that we need to be leaning into. I'm not seeing extreme or dramatic shifts in the market from new carriers. AI has been a talking point forever and ever. It'll continue being a talking point. I think for clients in the immediate ways they can benefit in total cost of risk, total spread of risk, looking at how they can place their insurance more strategically in the market. Have a conversation with your broker on the market softening. Have a conversation on if there's a more strategic way to work with different insurance carriers, regional and national. But Dana, no, there's nothing that is glaring right now of something so dramatic that's going to hit every headline.
Okay. Well, I mean, I love speaking to you. What makes me so happy about this conversation is I feel like every other conversation is like doom and gloom, right? Between rising costs and employees and AI and everything else that's not going great for us. And you're the first person who gets on and talks about, look, things might get better. So, Matt, I thank you so much for this. Thank you. Is there anything last? I know I'll plug you a little bit, is that I know what's always been wonderful is you're always willing to take a conversation, answer a question. I know you're based in Atlanta, like you said, but even though you have Bulldog everywhere, go Gators, as we enter the basketball season and to the basketball tournament. I know you're always willing to take calls with people throughout the country. If there's anything else you want to say to the audience, please do.
Always on standby to help. I love this industry. I love the people. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, of course. So everyone, thank you for listening. And Matt Mallory from the Mallory Agency, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dana.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dana Delivers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to encourage you to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone else who could benefit from it. We have great conversations with top leaders in the restaurant, franchise, and hospitality space, where they offer their knowledge and expertise and give us valuable insight into these industries. If you have any questions or observations you'd like to share with me, please reach out at dana.zukofsky@aprio.com or visit our website at aprio.com to learn more about all the different ways Aprio can help your business. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to delivering more valuable content soon.